First of all, let me say this. I'm all black all the time and in all things. Every day I rise, I strive to make my ancestors rejoice and our oppressors tremble by helping my people realize their true purpose. I'm listening to this radio program the other day on 9:10 a.m. This sister called and she was filled with glee. Listening to the positive black brothers coming onto the program speaking truth just made her happy. It inspired me to want to call in, but I just wasn't able to. Then the slaves show up. Not all whites are bad. There's some good ones out there. Even though you still can't touch or experience anything that benefit black people through the efforts of these so-called good white people, you still get the occasional slave to show up and speak on behalf of our oppressor. And that's sad. The Bible tells you you can't get sweet and bitter water from the same fountain. You translate that into today's language, that means you can't get good and bad behavior from the same people. You're either going to get one or the other. But you don't need the Bible to tell you that. Common sense should tell you that. It's a shame. Whites have enslaved our people for 300 years, then systemically oppressed them for 200 more years. And yet, you Negroes still have hope that whites can change their behavior and give you something sweet. Yet, when blacks forgave for slavery, integrated with whites, you have no hope in us, but you still cling on to the hopes that whites are going to give you something that you can use and benefit not only you, but your people. Name me one characteristic that whites returned to free blacks that they took from them in order to make them slaves. Did they give them back the history, the culture, the language? Did they even just tell them the truth? Show me any record that shows during slavery a child that was ashamed of his parents for owning slaves. Show me a holiday that was ruined because their parents had slaves. The suffering that the slaves was going through. Show me something that state that the children of these slave masters regretted their parents participating in this behavior. A church service that was interrupted because the child stated that his parents, were slave owners. Is there any record of this? Is there any record that the day after day for the 276 years that blacks were enslaved, that the children of the slave owners ever revolted, ever put down something to show that they regret their parents doing this? You can't find it because it don't exist. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. Name me a group of white people today, or at any time, who either in part or promoted black opportunities, black ownership, black advantages that these documents don't have, that they insisted be put into these documents. Name me, out of all the white people that was born since the slavery ended 160 years ago to today, name me a group of white people that tried to do this. They tried to put our benefits, our advantages, our ownership into the very documents that the foundation of this country is set in. You can't, because it don't exist. You're not going to get bitter and sweet water from white people. you're only going to get bitter water from these people. Don't even think about getting anything else. There are no rights, there's no privileges, there are no advantages that we enjoy entirely through ownership. We don't have no influence on no political position. The politicians that we have in place in this country, they are puppets. When you hear, well, when I hear black people rejoice because their child has just been accepted into law school or just passed the bar to become a lawyer, I can understand the excitement. Your child reaching a huge accomplishments when all the odds are stacked against them. But I want to temper your glee, your enthusiasm, with the fact that you have the descendants of slaves entering the legal system of our oppressor and doing nothing to change the laws to benefit our people. Once they get accepted into these law firms, into this legal system, they may fight the laws, but they do nothing to change them. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Yet, we still give 190 million whites a chance to prove that they're good. Each and every white person you see, well, he may be bad, but the next one might not be. You can go another 100 bad white people, and then that still won't prove your case, because some Negro, some slave is going to say, well, the next white may not be bad. But yet, we won't give 44 million blacks of our own people one chance to build their own and to see how they truly are. Because when you look at blacks functioning in today's society under the rules and regulation of whites, they do so without their nationality, without their history, without their culture, without their language. We don't judge our people on what we could be if we had our own language, our own businesses, our own industries, our own culture, our own social norms. But we still we holding back all the potential that we could be, because you holding out because of this one white guy that you think is gonna be the sweet in all the history of bitter that they have been given blacks. Like I said, you ain't gonna never get sweet and bitter waters out of the same person. It's either gonna be extremely bitter or not as bitter. It ain't gonna never be sweet.